Welcome to Seafan Sports, the sports show that's dedicated to the Seattle sports fan. My name is Dave, this is Kevin, and this is Seahawks Weekly. As always, you guys, if you're brand new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn your notification bells on, thumbs up, thumbs down, and make sure you leave those comments because we want to hear them, and we got some stuff to talk about this week. Kevin, let's go ahead and put a bow on the 49er game. Man, I tell you what, I was encouraged by what I saw on Sunday. Kevin, your thoughts?
Absolutely encouraged. Russ looked way better. He was 30 of 37. In all reality, he should have had 3 touchdowns, but one got caught twice and then kicked into an interception. Because of the interception, he had a 99.4 passer rating. But overall, I thought he looked good. There were a couple small things here and there he missed, but overall, I thought it was the best game he's had since he's been back. I thought Tyler Lockett looked really good. 7 receptions, 68 yards, 1 TD. I've been complaining about the guy all year, but Rashad Penny, 10 carries, 35 yards, 1 reception for 27 yards. And one thing that we both agree with, he had the best play of the game with that block. Well, flipped over block. I don't know what it was, but it was awesome.
I'm telling you, like I told you earlier, the play of the game to me for Rashad Penny will not show up in a stat sheet because if he hadn't set that block, then unfortunately Russ would have got pounded again right there. And wow. Kevin, I'm echoing all the things that you just said. I think our defense looked better. We held them scoreless in the second half. We were much improved on both sides of the ball. You know, we had backups in there on the offensive line, Stone Forsythe, Curran, players that we've talked about in the preseason, the players that we were looking that may contribute a couple of years down the line. They had to come in and play this year. And to be honest with you, Kevin, there was not that big of a drop off from what we saw out of our starters. I was completely happy all the way around. I mean, was it a perfect game? Absolutely not. But was it entertaining? Absolutely. From beginning from that Travis Homer run on, it was amazing, and I was excited. It brought a little juice back to what we were doing. So
I just want to pick out one player in particular.
Okay.
I don't remember whose player on offense last week that was going to be pick the click. Anyway, what do you have? 2 fumbles, cost us 21 points, and a catch fumble or interception. Boy, Gerald Everett had a bad.
You know what? Let me ask you this, Kevin. Do you think Gerald Everett will have a game like that ever again?
No, that was an
aberration. That was something that isn't going to happen. That man is a fighter. That man is a dog. He had a rough game. We all have bad days at the office. And you know what? He, I think, is going to bounce back in an incredible way. Is he my pick to click this week? Nope.
Not mine.
He should be, because I think he's going to come out with something to prove this week.
Yep, agreed.
All right, Kevin, so we tied a bow. We made it look nice and pretty. It's in the rearview mirror. We got a win. Now we're moving on to Houston. But before we do, Kevin, you know, we've talked about, you know, Russell. We've talked about, you know, the possibility that there could be trades. We've talked about Schneider and Pete and our thoughts on that. But you know what, Kevin? We're lifelong Seattle fans. We started this because we enjoy being a Seahawks fan.
Yeah.
But you know what, Kevin? My last name is not one of the most hated last names in all of Seattle sports.
Yep.
If you make comments about the Seahawks and your last name is Schultz, that's right, Jordan Schultz, the Schultz son of the Starbucks that completely sold out the Sonics, comes out and gives 3 teams. I couldn't give an ounce of pee what he has to say, because he deserves not to say anything, because his dad sold the Sonics. So as far as I'm concerned, anything out of his mouth is null and void, and he has no business talking about Seattle sports ever. I don't care if he's breaking the best story in the world. That's the last person I want to hear about telling me any of that information.
Agreed.
He named 3 teams, and you know what? I could care less. Jordan Schultz broadcasts to the rest of the world because Seattle don't want to hear it.
Nope.
All right, Kevin. Whew, now that I'm done with that tirade, let's go ahead and bounce into Houston. I'm not expecting a lot of opposition this week in Houston. They have had a rocky year.
Yeah.
Kevin, your thoughts on what you've read about Houston so far this year? To me, they're just look like a dumpster fire of an organization.
Yeah, they've just been, having problems after problems after problems. This Davis Mills, their quarterback, I mean, in the 8 games he's been starting, he's been sacked 22 times.
Wow.
And he's thrown 8 interceptions with 7 touchdowns. I mean, it is a train wreck down there. And I don't know. Yeah, I just do not see any fire. I don't see anything that would show that they're even going to compete with any team they play the rest of the year. So Seahawks included.
All right, Kevin. So with that being said, let's just jump right into the players that the picks to click that we have this week. Go ahead, Kevin. Who's going to be your offensive pick to click?
Well, I mentioned his name earlier, and I hate doing it, but I actually think Rashad Penny is going to have a great game. They allow 140 yards on the average per game allowed on the ground. And I think Rashad Penny is going to play and run the ball very, very effectively against the Texans. And obviously AP is going to get some touches around the goal line and kind of do what Marshawn did a few years ago. But I really believe the bulk of the carries are going to go to Rashad. So
pigs are flying when Kevin picks Rashad Penny. Hell is frozen over. Anything that you want to say. Kevin, my pick to click this week. I'm going back to a guy that I've tried to make my player of the week. I've been excited. D. Eskridge is starting to show some signs of life.
Yep.
He's actually playing on Sundays. He looked very good this week.
Yep.
He looks fast. He looks explosive. He looks smart. He had a play where he could have tried to run for extra yardage, and he got out of bounds.
Yep.
Did the smart thing. I think they're going to have even more faith in this young man. So I think my player to click this week is going to be 1D Eskridge. Kevin, who's your defensive stallion that you've chosen to pick?
Considering that the Texans have been averaging 2 to 5 sacks a game, I'm going with Darrell Taylor, the guy that leads the Seahawks in sacks. And I think he's going to have an outstanding game. Hopefully he gets 1 or 2 sacks, but hopefully knocks the quarterback on the ground a lot. And so Darrell Taylor, my pick to click.
My pick to click this week is going to be replacing one Jamal Adams. To be honest with you, Kevin, I think that we're going to play a more solid, more unified defense this week with Ryan Neal back in the secondary, lining up next to Quandre Diggs. I think Ryan Neal this week is going to come out. He possibly could have an interception. He's going to have a couple big tackles for loss. I am so excited to see what Ryan Neal does on a full game basis.
Yep.
So my pick to click this week, Mr. Ryan Neal.
Yep.
Kevin agrees.
I do. He was one of my guys that I was looking at picking. So I think Ryan's going to have a great game.
All right. So Kevin.
Yes.
We're both in the camp. This is going to be, or should be.
Yeah. Should be
a cakewalk.
Yes.
So tell me, does your score reflect that, Kevin? What is your score this week?
My score is Seattle 31, the Texans 10.
All right. Well, I'm going to go 27-7, Seattle 27, the Texans 7. All right, Kevin. So there's only 2 words we have left for these folks. What are they?
Go Hawks.
See you guys next week.